Who is the best male character who isn't a tough badass? Philip J. Fry. He saved the universe a couple times but mostly by accident and being an idiot. Saul Goodman. Mr. Rogers. Wasn't a character, it's just how Fred Rogers was. On the surface, Mr. Rogers appeared to be the most kind and compassionate man in the world. Underneath that, though, he was exactly the same. The most genuine person who has ever existed. The man once demanded his limo driver be allowed to join him for dinner, then after went to the limo driver's home to meet his children and played piano for his family. Daniel Jackson from Stargate SG-1. He kinda became more of a badass in the later seasons, but originally he was the less physically strong non-military character. His primary strengths were academic accomplishment, cultural historical expertise, patience and empathy. Jack, what kind of archaeologist carries a gun? Daniel, raise his hand, I do. But yeah, love Daniel. Jack, bad example. Bob Belcher. You're my family and I love you, but you're terrible, you're all terrible. Abed Nader. Cool. Hot. Evil Abed. Cruel. Also evil Abed. Ben Wyatt. Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Arthur Dent follow-up. Thank you all for the upvotes. Those saying Arthur is indeed a badass should reread. Lying in front of a bulldozer could be badass, but in Arthur's case it was just desperate, thoughtless action which he promptly regretted. Slarty Bartfast, you must come with me or you will be late. Arthur Dent, late? What for? Slarty Bartfast, what is your name, human? Arthur Dent, Arthur Dent. Slarty Bartfast, late as in the late Dent Arthur Dent. It's a sort of threat, you see. Amazing. I love Douglas Adams, D. Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption. I wish I could tell you that Andy fought the good fight, and the sisters let him be. I wish I could tell you that, but prison is no fairy tale world. Get busy livin', or get busy dyin'. Any character that Rick Moranis played. Rincewind the Wizard, he can't spell, from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series is about as much not a badass as it is possible to be. Also, Ponder Stibbins. Is the quintessential nerd but ends up basically running the unseen university single-handedly because he's the only competent, genuinely intelligent, genuinely interested person in the building. Every other wizard just wants respect and big meals. Ponder really wants to discover things, and make sure shit actually gets done. The other wizards know this, so they just pile all responsibility onto him, even though they accidentally allow him to hold almost every important title in the university. In effect becoming one of the most influential people in the city. He's part of Pratchett's younger generation of people coming into power, doing away with old ideas and making positive things happen in society with their ingenuity and sincerity. Bluey's dad. Bandit Healer. Ron Stoppable. They said no tough badasses. Hercule Poirot hands down follow-up. All the love for Poirot has warmed my heart and made me realize that I am not alone in adoring the fastidious Belgium with an egg-shaped head and marvelous mustaches. Love the David Suchet one. Ted Lasso. Depending on what you define as tough, Spencer Reid. Leslie Higgins as well. Dude lives life right, has a loving family and a wife he adores. Stands up for his friends and gives good advice with a big heart. I want to be Mrs. Higgins when I grow up. Supportive, quick wit, managing a chaotic household with such resilience and happiness. You don't see her much but she's such a sweet character, and Leslie adores her. I hope to see more of her in season 3. They are married in real life, so when you see them look at each other, that's the real deal. Oh, this really made me smile. Mr. Bean. Bean is an eldritch horror trickster god. Sean Spencer and Gus Burton Psych. I believe it's Sean Spence star and Gus TT Showbiz. I've heard it both ways. You know that's right. Hawkeye from MASH, not to be confused with the Archer from the comic books. This Hawkeye is a pacifist doctor in a war. If you have never seen MASH, I highly recommend it. If we're going to go with MASH, my vote is for Father Mulcahy. Kind, compassionate, gentle, smart, funny, a little naive. And a little bit badass. He was a skilled boxer and badass. Milo Thatch. From Atlantis. Dude is not a traditional badass, but he is heroic because of how strongly he sticks to his morals and value system even when no one is with him and everyone ridicules him. That shit makes zero difference to his decision making. Moral compass made of absolute titanium. All I've gleaned from this thread is that everyone has vastly different definitions for what badass means, and I think that's great. Charles Boyle edit. I love how people have their own Charles moment. As a typical Redditor, I look up to Charles Boyle and try to be like him as a friend and a human being, so that I might get a friend like Charles Boyle. I hope it's not selfish. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Joel from Santa Clarita Diet. He's constantly an inch or two from falling apart and it's hilarious. Adrian Monk. Did you know that Psych and Monk take place in the same universe? Monk would hate Sean so much, but Gus would absolutely love all of Monk's weird habits. Halfway through the crossover, Gus would have his own package of wipes. You know I'm a sympathetic wiper, Sean. Oh my god, what could it be? We're all doomed. Who's flying this thing? Hoban Washburn, Wash, from Firefly. Rigby. But those back muscles though. Spock. Can definitely fight but would rather use science and logic. McCoy too. Never so much as threw a punch throughout the entire franchise, but he's still out there saving the lives of aliens and curing diseases he didn't even know existed yesterday. Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Disqualified because he is a total badass for being an present and engaged single parent. Seriously, it's wholesome how much he tries to be there for Vanessa. His own parents weren't there for him. He tries his best to be a present and involved parent for his daughter. It's so nice, TBH. His own parents weren't there for him. They weren't even there for his birth. Talk about shit parents, lol. And the time where he built a holeless death ray machine and lost to a baking soda volcano. Talk about an unfair science fair. Things were just never easy for him. He really had a devastatingly silly childhood. The Dude. Atticus Finch, though I guess that depends on your definition of badass. One-Shot Finch? The guy who put down a rabid dog at 500 yards with a single humanely placed bullet? The guy who unflinchingly stared down a lynch mob all on his own? The lawyer who took a case he knew he was going to lose, because he knew it was the right thing to do, and despite everything he came this close to winning? Dude is 100% a badass. Badass, but not an ass kicker. Aside from his ability to shoot, what his strength was in was moral courage. Mike Wazowski. You're not scary, not even a little, but you're fearless. That sound pretty badass to me. Mew has its flaws, but it turns Mike into one of Pixar's best protagonists. In Me he's a great deuteragonist, but his role is still Sully foil and mostly comic relief. Mew had to take that and bring out the more admirable side of him without losing his egotism and self-centered streak, and as a result you have one of the more fleshed out and nuanced underdog protagonists in Pixar. It makes me think more heroes should start of being written as the sidekick. Charlie Kelly. Not to be confused with Mac, who's completely and totally badass. He once gave me an ocular pat down. Super badass. Moss from the It Crowd. Dear Sire Madam, I am writing you in regards to a fire that has broken out at the premises of Nope. That's too formal. I was thinking Bob from Stranger Things, but then I realize it's pretty much Sean Astin in anything. Edit. What I mean is, he tends to play characters that aren't your typical tough guy, ass-kicking badass but still are brave and heroic. That's what makes them the best. Plus Hess such a likable guy. Hank Hill. He's ignorant and old-fashioned but is not malevolent about it. He may not understand, but he can, with patience, be taught. He struggles with the modern world, but is able to come to terms with the fact that the world he lives in isn't the world he grew up in. About the only thing he absolutely does not tolerate is someone else using their own ignorance and intolerance as a weapon to hurt those he cares about. This he will respond to with a telling off that is more or less gentle depending on intent and degree of harm, or, if absolutely necessary, An ass kicking.